I find that when you work your sphere and collaborate with other agents and learn more about working your sphere in today's society, that we can be consistent within a good range and run a great business.
Hello and welcome to episode 234 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by California-based broker Cyndi Lesinski. With more than 20 years in the industry, Cyndi has built a thriving and sustainable business after launching it in a market that she had just moved to by ingraining herself in the community and constantly connecting with new people. Throughout our conversation, Cyndi shares how her previous experience in social work gives her a unique perspective when helping clients dealing with loss. She also discusses her strategies for building her sphere of influence, and finally the significance in collaborating with other real estate agents to ensure consistent success in the industry. But before we get on with today's featured interview, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoy this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get on with our conversation with Cyndi Lesinski. If you're interested in learning more about leveraging your sphere of influence, I highly recommend checking out her YouTube channel. I have a link in the episode description. All right. Well, if you could, just starting out, introduce yourself to us a little bit. Tell us who you are and where you are practicing real estate.
Great. Well, thank you, Michael, for having me on the show. My name is Cyndi Lesinski, and I have been a realtor for over 20 years. We'll put it that way. Right. Maybe a bit over 25, but right. And really since my first year, I've been a full-time realtor and have been blessed with developing a business in real estate. Prior to that, I was a social worker working with foster families and also working with seniors, with the adult population, and helping them stay in their home. So I kind of had a little hiccup 5-6 years. I have 2 daughters and stayed at home with them. And then once they were in school full time, that's when I became a realtor. And I'm actually a broker associate now. Got my broker's license just a year ago. That was super exciting for me. Just, it didn't change my business, but just continuing to develop yourself and to gain that education is what helps you stay current and keeps you moving along in business.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it about real estate when you were ready to, get back out there and after your daughters had kind of grown up a little bit? What was it that, drew you to real estate?
Well, interesting enough, when I was about 21, before I even went to college, I met a realtor. I lived in Denver, Colorado for a short time. And I went with this family to look at a home. And there was this realtor, and I'm like, what is that? I've always been intrigued with houses and would go through houses that were being built in my neighborhood. And when doing that, I thought, architect, builder, contractor, never knew what a realtor was, because in Amish country where I grew up, there weren't really realtors around. You talk to your neighbor, you bought your neighbor's house, So years later, I ended up in California, and my neighbor's son was a realtor. And I was like, I always wanted to be a realtor. I just never knew anybody, didn't know how to do it, what to do. And she put me in touch with her son. He told me how to do it. I then became a realtor. So it was like all these things, though, that even as a social worker, I helped match kids to families, helping kids find a home. Now, I wasn't selling houses, but it's all about helping people find a home. And then working with seniors, I help them stay in their home. So now I've transferred all of that to helping people find a home that meets their family's needs for today, for the next couple years, or for, 5 years generally. So all of that mixture together is what kind of led me down to this path.
Right, absolutely. And when you finally got your license, what was it? How did you start building your business and start bringing in those leads?
So because we had actually just moved to California, and I really didn't know a lot of people, but I embraced the community I moved into. And my daughters were young and they were playing soccer and school activities. And then I also really embraced the broader community and got involved with our Chamber of Commerce and hung out at the local coffee shop.
Yeah.
So within 3 to 4 months, I knew a lot more people than people that had lived in the area for years. And I developed my sphere. I developed people that got to know me. And as I started to help a few people with their real estate needs, they're like, well, Cyndi, you've been here a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, not really. And they're like, but you know everybody and everything about this area. And it really got down to get to know your community, the whole vast area, and get to know people. And the more people I met, I mean, at the time, there weren't all these apps and programs to keep in touch with people. I had spreadsheets that had all of my soccer players on it. I had spreadsheets of all the people I met through the Chamber of Commerce. And I used to set up my computer at the coffee shop and I'd have stickers on it. And everybody'd say, oh, that's Cyndi over there. Go ask her about that house up the street. So they got to know me as the realtor for that area. So that building and developing the knowledge of your area and building and developing people that you know and that know you. And then ultimately, as I always say, people that know you, like you, and trust you, and know that you're a realtor will utilize you if you stay in front of them.
I love you talking about the soccer team. Like I was mentioned to you before we started recording, my son's a baseball player. And, he has been with this organization for about 5 years now. So, we have seen more, families kind of come and go. But there's a couple that are both agents, and they dominate our area because everybody knows the Wilkinsons are,
yes.
They are the we like to call them the mayors of our town because, they know everybody, they know every house that's on the market, and they clean up with our baseball group.
Yes. Yeah. And when you're involved in a sport like that, you have to be delicate about presenting yourself as the realtor. You've got to be authentic. You're not just there because you're wanting to, get everybody to know you and use you as a realtor. You've got to truly be into whatever that sport is, and your kids need to be involved in it. And, and if it's not that, and it doesn't have to do with your children, and you're working out at a gym and you're living the life of a healthy person and you're an example of that and you're encouraging to other people, if you're not authentic to whatever it is that you're involved with, people will know that, and that will not be a good business plan for you. But when I was a soccer coach, I got my shirts were all embroidered because you can't wear name badges. And in today's world, a lot of people don't wear name badges, but you certainly can use your company name, real brokerage, and that tells people you're about real estate, either that or you're supporting somebody in real estate. So just a simple, embroidery of your company name, or your, like, turning houses into homes, or ask me about real estate, things like that are just subtle but are embroidered on a shirt, go a long way in that type of environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that idea. You talked about being in the coffee shop with your computer and having the stickers on there. I mean, that's a great, because, you could be sitting there working away and somebody sees you in there, and, you have that, not like a billboard or anything, but it's, kind of giving them that, okay, I can walk over and ask my question.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And that happens often. I've even done fun things like, tell the baristas the next 7 drinks, the next 10 drinks, that, I always calculate how much am I willing to put forth. And they would just tell the people coming in, oh, Cyndi bought that for you. And generally, I knew every one of them. So, and you could even do something like that of, the barista will look your way and you give them the, yeah, this one, please put that on my tab. So doing fun things like that, because then whenever they pass you by, they end up saying, hey, thank you for the drink. By the way, what's going on at that house? It's been on the market for X amount of time, and I thought it would have sold already. And it engages them in conversations. Now, they might not be looking to buy or sell in another 5 years, but because they get to know me, they then will say at times, oh, I'm so glad I see you here, because my daughter's going to start looking for a property and I want to refer her to you.
And I really like, you mentioned it as being, like being truly involved in the groups or whatever it is around your community that you're going to. Like you said, you were a soccer coach, like you got ingrained and you were actually like really involved in that group. You didn't just go, I know with like, there's so many different apps and social media groups out there now. I see it all the time. People go in there, blast their, put their little post out there, and then they never engage. And, like that's not doing anything for you. You really got to get involved with the group, get to know the people there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I do have a few other types of event things that I get involved with, from, poker. I play Texas Hold'em, so I have captured 8 people at a table, and, I negotiate at the table, and they, now a lot of them really know me, and they're like, if you think she's good at poker, just, check out how good she is at being a realtor. She's the best. That I don't even have to say anything. They become my cheerleaders.
When you, so for these people that, maybe they met you for the first time at the coffee shop, or, saw you on the soccer field, what's the follow-up process like? How do you keep connected with these people that you meet?
So it really depends on where I've met them at. When I've met them at the coffee shop, I do not add them into my database. But last year I sold 3 houses because of hanging out at the coffee shop. And then when it becomes time for somebody to buy a house or refer me, they'll just come right up to me at the coffee shop and say, hey, this person needs your help. Here's their information. I told them I was going to give it to you and you're good to call them. I probably could get a little bit more specific about it, but I do want it to be more authentic. So I don't do that. When it's somebody in my poker world, they all have my number. I text them for our poker activities. And I mean, I'm talking about poker in the sense of it's my golf. So when golfers know every golf, course and all the different golfers that are in your area and everything. I know hundreds of poker players and I know where all the poker games are surrounding area. So they all know me. And a lot of times, like about a month ago, one of the poker players sent me a text saying, "Hey, Jeff is looking to sell his house." So I made sure that I went to the poker games that Jeff is at. And Jeff and I entered into conversations. And, at first he was like, I don't know if I should use you. You make people make their house look good. I want to just sell it as is. And so I was able to engage in those preconceived ideas he had. And I have his home under contract right now. So poker is my golf. And I make sure that I stay in touch with the right people who, again, are my cheerleaders looking out for who's talking about making a move so that I can then engage them more authentically than just a drip system and sending them things constantly and just being in touch with them in a different capacity.
Before we dive into our next topic, I have a question. Agents, are you ready to build instant trust with the sellers and buyers you meet? Well, with today's sponsor, Authorify, you can become a published author and gain instant credibility with potential clients. You'll easily win listings and buyers will want you to represent them as their agent. Imagine handing somebody your book instead of a business card and watching them realize that you're the real deal and want to list with you. Even better, you can try this out for free because Authorify is giving you a free sample book so you can see exactly how it works. Simply go to authorify.com/sample to claim your free sample book now. One of the topics I want to touch on, and it's something that you had sent to us when you first reached out, and it was talking about working with the clients that maybe have gone through the loss of a loved one. And I have to imagine now, hearing about your background in the social work, I have to imagine that has really helped you be able to walk clients through that difficult time.
I because of my background and everything, I am able to work through and help people go through the life-changing events of losing a parent, losing a sibling. And when they reach out to me, we talk a lot about life and the changes that have recently happened with them and the impact of what it's going to mean to them to sell this house, whether it's a house that they grew up in or a house that a brother, had lived in and the brother passed away, who maybe never married. And so they're responsible for his home and estate. It's critical to be understanding that the house is just one minute aspect in an entire picture of dealing with the loss that they just went through and the difficulties that sometimes are involved with that situation. When if there are three siblings and one sibling has not been involved and maybe lives in the property but isn't involved in the estate because maybe that sibling was being taken care of their entire life, including adult life. And now the sibling that is the executor has to figure out how can we work together with a sibling that is not wanting to move, but has to move because he doesn't have the finances to buy out the other siblings, and just having that knowledge and how to be sympathetic to their situation of both. I feel for the sibling that was taken care of all his life and now has to move, but yet they all need to share equally of what the estate is. And then connecting them with all the right people, including our escrow company, our title company, all of our affiliates that also will be answering questions. And you need to have a full team to bring them all together to have that understanding. It can't be okay, well, we're listing it at this price on this day, have the house ready, call me when it's ready. I go over and I assess things. Is it ready? Oh, you know what? It's not. And my photographer is going to be here tomorrow. Let me put my gym clothes on that I have in the car, and I'm going to get on my hands and knees, scrub floors, pack boxes, do whatever it takes to help them be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in that situation, there are so many different situations that being able to handle whatever comes up, because I'm sure, you probably have dealt with people that siblings are living all the way across the country. And then you have the other ones that have stayed in the community, and that was the house they grew up in. And that can be a really difficult thing to part ways with.
It can be. And, having the understanding of all sides. And, we often joke, there's, if there's two people, there's two sides, but then there's the middle, and that's where you find the truth. And with siblings, everybody grew up maybe in the same household, but you all have different lives and different perspectives, and you handle loss differently. Some forge forward and some get paralyzed, and you have to know how to properly communicate with all of your clients, not just the one that is the executor, but all the other ones that are involved in that move. And that's whether it is with a loss, and if it's, a loss of a person is one aspect, but if it's a loss of a job or a relocation, a lot of families are still dealing with the loss of this. We're going to lose this home. How are we going to move forward? Well, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to create a strategy for you that's going to help you go through those steps of loss to get you to that better place.
And I think, your approach of really catering to those singular person's, needs and goals, rather than, you always hear like, don't take the transactional mindset on things, but those are definitely the types of, listings or jobs, whatever you want to call them. You really do have to look out for your client's best interest and help walk them through the process. And in the end, by doing that, you will get the referrals and the other business out the back end.
Yes, absolutely. And even our little clients, I always say, don't forget about the kids, the little kids. It's so important to make sure you engage them and help them understand different things, no matter if they're 4 years old, 8 years old, 12, to, young adults. You've got to engage them and make sure that they're happy when you come over. They don't want to be, put out because, oh, the realtor is coming over, so it's going to be, a little different here today. What can I do to help that 4 and 6 year old to adjust as well, and explaining different things to them, such as, you are going to pack up your toys and they're going with you. You're not going to leave them in this home, because I've had some of my little clients say that to me, like, but we're going to look at a house. I want to bring all my toys because I don't want to leave them behind. And I do think that realtors have an opportunity to help with the mental health of those little clients, as well as all of the clients that are involved in the transaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you, if you were to meet my daughter, she would have been your assistant if you would have given her, the opportunity to, because if you would have walked my daughter through any move, she would have jumped all over that and had
Yep, for sure.
What talk to me about sharing your experiences with and your tips for working with your sphere and building your sphere with fellow agents, and why have you decided to do that?
Well, as a realtor, when you enter into the business, if you enter in as an individual agent, you're on this island alone. And the one way to be able to surround yourself with other great agents is to collaborate with them and help share the things that I've learned through the years and continue to learn from them. Because as an agent, being in the business for over 20 years, I still am learning things every day because our business keeps evolving and things keep happening and changing. So I've got to stay current myself to be able to sell a home to a current seventh grader. And if I don't stay current to the technology and things like that, then I will be out of business in 5 to 10 years. So by learning from others, I've also made sure that I share what I know and help other agents continue to grow with the knowledge of how to work with your sphere, what kind of things to do. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people that do end up in my different programs that I share a lot of information to. But then I do events that I make sure I invite everybody to. So if I'm having an event at Thanksgiving, we do an event that is I call it a reverse giveaway. I give out pies, you bring canned goods for us to donate to the local food pantry. And I hold it, say, at a wine center or a restaurant. And when we do that, I make sure everybody at Starbucks knows about it. Everybody at poker knows about it. And then everybody that's in my database knows about it. And I generally get anywhere from, I'd say, 50 to 100 people that come to those events. I give them a pie. They give me their bag of donations. And I do different events each year. Even for my own birthday, I'll do what I call a reverse giving. I'm like, don't bring me any gifts. Bring canned goods for the food pantry. You come, we're going to enjoy some drinks, some celebration together, and you're going to bring canned goods because I don't need anything. I'm a minimalist, and please don't bring me in another bottle of wine myself because I really don't drink wine. I use it for my wine events.
Right.
So we talk about events, we talk about how to engage people, we talk about how to utilize an open house to growing your sphere and connecting with people. We talk about how to growing your business by hanging out at various restaurants, coffee shops, or at the local gym. How do you build your sphere in an authentic way so that they will use you when it's time, or they will refer you when it's time?
Building those authentic relationships and, having that authentic communication with people is so important because, I think all of us, we all are, very used to the automated messaging now. And, you can tell when an email is a blast, it was written somewhere else, you put your name on it and it came to me. And I think all of us are craving that one-on-one interaction. And
Yes.
If you can provide that, you're going to be memorable.
Yes. And that's a great way to putting it too, because you want to be authentic, you want to be rememberable, you want people to feel good. And I love the motto of the Real Brokerage where we're at, where it's be kind, work hard, be kind. I've always had a motto when I do I became a runner, so I'm also in several running groups. And at the end of my running, I'll do a post somewhere, and I always end it with, remember, be kind, be nice, do an act of kindness that makes a difference in somebody's life. And it could be that simple smile. It could be holding a door. It doesn't cost you anything. to be kind. And so with Real's motto, I'm like, God, great. My company's motto even supports this. So this is awesome.
Yeah. What before wrapping up, tell me about just, that collaborative approach that, that you're getting with Real, and then even the things that you're doing, with your working your sphere.
A great aspect of this collaboration too does open up the opportunities for realtors to build on getting referrals across the country, because I have met a lot of realtors in other states, and I actually have a referral out right now for Tennessee, a referral out for Florida, a referral out for a part of California that I do not serve, and a referral out for Pennsylvania. And I truly know the agents that I've now referred to because I've met them through this collaboration of sharing my knowledge about working my sphere and how that has created a great business for over 20 years, because I have had consistent business no matter. I did take 1 year off. I took a leave of absence for a year to just live on a lake, and then got right back into business. And every year I have done, I would say, an average of 35 transactions a year. Bad years where a lot of agents are, struggling, I still did an average of 35 transactions a year. The number of transactions that have been done this past year are way down for most agents. And I did 35 transactions this past year. So with that, that collaboration of sharing knowledge and gaining knowledge from other agents is critical to being able to be consistent in our business, because a lot of agents have those peaks and valleys every year. It's like, well, I did a lot this year, I did nothing. I did a lot, and you go up and down. But I find that when you work your sphere and collaborate with other agents and learn more about working your sphere in today's society, that we can be consistent within a good range and run a great business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if you are creating those real and authentic relationships with your sphere of influence, there's always going to be, no matter what the market conditions are, there are going to be people that have situations come up to where they have to, they have to move.
And they have to move.
And if you're the one that is, consistently, reaching out and building strong relationships with your past clients or referrals that are coming in, you will be the person that they think of.
Right. Yep. And part of that sphere is the relationships that you also create with other realtors around the country, but then also within your own area, because you want to be known as the agent that's great to work with. Whenever a local agent sees your listing, you want them to say, great, that's Cyndi. She's a good agent. We would love to get under contract with her. Rather than, oh, this isn't an agent that's easy to work with on the other side. Because ultimately, you're going to have a listing agent, a buyer's agent, and together, if we can collaborate to work for what our seller and buyer wants and work together effectively, we're going to achieve the goals that both of our clients want. So that's our ultimate goal. And again, by having this training that we do, that collaboration also is within our local region as well.
Well, before we wrap up, tell people where they can follow you if they want it, because I know you have a fantastic YouTube page that has, your videos that you're putting out there, and all these great tips for working your sphere. So where can people follow you?
So my name is Cyndi Lesinski, Lesinski, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look me up at Cyndi Lesinski and you'll be able to find me. But my number is 661-510 5516. I always joke I couldn't drive 55 when I was 16. So that's my last four digits. And welcome to give me a text and reach out, and happy to have any conversations with any agents about working your sphere, and to give a few different little tips that we can dive into a little bit deeper.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you having me as a guest, and look forward to hopefully seeing you in person in the near future.
I want to thank Cyndi for joining us today, and I really like what she said about including even the youngest family members in the process of buying or selling a home. Remember, if you'd like to connect with Cyndi or follow her on social media, I've included several links in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.